You know the way when, by the way, yes, I'm cleaning out a place. This is not where I live. You know the way when you have a pain in the stomach, or a weird sensation, or a funny pain in your head, or you have a rash on your skin or something like that, and then you go online and you go to these medical sites and you type in your symptoms, and the next thing it tells you you're going to fucking die, and they get you all worried and neurotic, and after a while you realise that it's probably a good idea not to go onto these sites and go to a proper doctor, because they'll make you believe that if you have a pimple, that it's melanoma. If you have a stomach ache, it's from indigestion, it's cancer. And if you have a headache from probably drinking too much, it's a brain tumour. And that's why, you know, we've all been on these stupid medical sites, and that's how they are. That's why I don't go on them, and you shouldn't really go on them. But the same rule applies to the occult sites. You see, a lot of people, they will get involved in something to do with the occult. They will have messed around with something when they were a kid. They'll have gone to a ritual and felt weird afterwards. They will have done a new Ouija board and don't feel right. They have cursed someone, that's a bad one by the way, and don't feel themselves, and they're a bit weirded out by it. So they go online and they look at these sites. Now, 99% of these sites that like advise about magic and stuff are usually done by Wiccans. And Wiccans don't know anything about magic. All you have to do is look at that mass binding spell to show that they haven't got a clue. Secondly, they just don't. I mean, I've nothing against Wicca as a religion and this kind of thing, but sorry, folks, it doesn't really work. It's just more of a social engagement, probably a good opening door introduction thing. And it's harmless in the sense that there's nothing evil about it or wicked or anything. I know lots of people involved, but usually it's usually by some, like, well, to stereotype people, some 400-pound overweight, that I'm not, you know, I know I'm overweight myself, but I mean 400-pound, but goddess who is divorced from her 5th husband and wants to get all back at them, this kind of thing, you know the score. And or else the born-again Christians or Christian sites warning about the evils of the occult, and they have you believing that your soul is damned and you're possessed, or you've been corrupted, as a demon living inside you. Well, do the same thing with those sites. Ignore them. Just fucking ignore them, okay? Because they will make you feel worse than you are. If you do believe you've done something, okay, 99% of rituals are okay. If you ingest a lot of blood through some kind of vampiric blood intent or blood magic ritual, you may just have something like hepatitis, and that's why you're not feeling well. It's not that you're damned or you're cursed. You may just be literally sick. The same thing if the Ouija board thing, maybe it's just be something that went on in your head, something that messed your brain up, and you didn't feel right after it. You just were left in a bad state over it. And that's okay. That's time will heal those things. Sometimes you could have been involved in something really dark, like that involved a sacrifice or something, or a criminal act. I find a lot of the ones that are really damaged by arson, like when they you know, teenagers do stupid things like burn down the community centre and go "Hail Satan" and all this stuff. For some reason they get really messed up. It's almost like the fire thing. It burns it into their consciousness. But the thing is, in 99% of cases, you don't have to worry about it. It's not a problem. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be scared of it. You don't have to be frightened by it. Like I said, unless you've ingested large amounts of blood, then you're probably just sick. You're probably just sick. You know, then you have to go to a doctor, get healed. You don't go to a shaman. You know, some guy called, you know, Barry McGinty, who's like took a weekend course at Tara in the shaman workshop, you know, banged a few drums. That's not a shaman. That's a cosplay. And yeah, so don't worry about it. But the same thing applies. The same rule that applies to don't go online looking for medical advice, because you'll end up thinking the absolute worst. Well, don't go online looking for magical advice if you think you have done something bad, because you'll get the absolute worst advice. That's basically Again, I didn't mean to insult Wiccans. I know there's lots of wonderful Wiccan people out there, but maybe if you want to really practice magic, Wicca is probably not the way. It's probably a good introduction to the ideas of magic, the idea of developing a magical consciousness in regards to landscape and things like that. But in terms of your own personal magical intent, it's probably not the best way to go. But then again, it's a personal preference. It never interested me, but maybe I know it interests millions and millions of other people. But there you go. Link to the new book below, Sorcery, the Invocation of Strangeness. Thank you very much.